Oh, it's preparing to live stream. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we are live.
Oh, wow.
Hello, everyone. Those who are going to join us.
Yeah, we had a few hiccups trying to figure out this live thing.
Yes, it took a few minutes, and I see, looks like maybe the voice isn't with the picture.
Okay. Let's have a look.
All right.
I still can't see any
You
live
can't still,
stream.
I don't think it,
Oh, you are live.
all right, good.
You are live. You are live on your page.
All right, finally.
On your personal page.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Technological
Well, it should have been
learning
on
curve.
my author page, but that's okay.
That's cool. We've sorted
We are
it.
we are fine with that.
Yes.
Well, we are here today as promised with a very dear friend and an amazing woman of God, as I've shared with you before, to tell us a little bit about herself. And her testimony is so profound and so encouraging, and she has shared it with us before, and I wanted everyone else to hear her testimony because it does help you to understand that we are all created for a purpose. But anyway, this is Meliza Farndell. She is from the UK. She is a wife and a mother to two very beautiful children, very talented, very adorable children. And she is an author, an incredible author for the Kingdom of God. So Meliza, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, Shirley. It's an honor to be with you at your table. I love your podcast. Honored. I love you showing up every week, encouraging us and sharing your wisdom. And you have been one of the greatest encouragers on my path. I am so grateful for you. So I just want to thank you just for being
an honor to have
your
you.
awesome self. You're amazing. And yeah, I'm really honored to share my story here. As you said, I live in the UK, but I was born and raised in South Africa. I'm the daughter of a pastor who is still pastoring a church. He is a beautiful human being with such a message of grace on his life. And I watched him pastor people and take them into his study to give them counsel. And when I was 6 years old, I said to him, "Can I have a meeting with you in your office?" And I made him sit on his chair, and I sat opposite the desk, and I said to him that I wanted to give my life to Jesus, and I was 6 years old at the time.
Wow.
He called me over and he prayed the prayer of salvation with me, and I was born into the kingdom that day. But at the age of 7, I suffered quite a drastic traumatic event, and it really ushered in a lot of shame and just a lot of guilt, a lot of condemnation. And I spent my entire life trying to really earn God's favor, earn his love. I didn't realize that it was unconditional.
Yes.
I didn't realize who he was and what his nature was. I just tried my entire life trying to be good enough. Every Sunday I was, at the front getting prayer and confessing how bad I was. And it carried in that sense of shame and guilt and condemnation I carried that for such a long time, even into my adulthood. It resulted in a lot of mental health issues. I struggled with depression. I had body image issues, and all sorts of problems or symptoms just from having a broken heart that didn't realize how much I was loved. So when I was a young mum, my daughter was just born, I hit rock bottom. And I was getting dressed one morning. I said to my husband, I just give up. I give up. I have spent my entire life trying to be good enough, trying to fix myself. And the more I've tried to fix myself, the worse I seem to get. And a few days later, after that conversation, I was taking my son Aiden to see the new Disney movie. And I walked into the cinema and encountered the father heart of God.
Wow.
It was the movie Tangled. We watched the Disney movie Tangled, and it started just a process of getting untangled from every lie I believed about myself, every lie I believed about God, and every lie that was keeping me in this prison of limiting beliefs. God used this movie and is still using this movie today to really minister to my heart and to show me who I am, how much he loves me, and how good he is, because he is such a good father.
Yeah.
When I saw the king light that lantern for his lost daughter, I saw that tear running down his cheek. It broke my stronghold. It broke every lie I believed about God. And it really started me on this path towards freedom. I discovered my identity, and from my identity, I started to discover my purpose. So that's my story untangled in a nutshell.
Wow. Isn't it interesting that, so many people in their testimonies, we all have a calling, but the enemy will start, as he did with you, even as a child, to start feeding you all these lies about self-image and not loved, and that's so very common that he begins that message so early in life. But wow, what a profound way for God to come to you and say, look, this is it. This is how it happens. I never give up. I never give up on you coming to me, just the way the king did for her
Yes.
in the movie.
Yes, that's what I love so much about that story, is that the king was celebrating his lost daughter every single year, and it's his celebration of her that brought her home, because that's what caught her attention. And I love that God knows how to catch our attention. I wasn't looking to bump into him that day when I was taking my son to the cinema, but he was there, he was ready, he knew, right, she's going to look at that screen and I'm going to show up and I'm going to show her who I am. And I'm always just amazed by his goodness and his faithfulness.
He'll just meet us anywhere, won't he?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. He'll just meet us
absolutely.
anywhere. And that's how your book was born.
That's right. Well, that was a long story, because I had that experience with God in 2010. And as I was starting to share my message with people, I started to get prophetic words about writing a book. But it took me 10 years to actually build up the courage to write that book and to share the message. And it's been a process. It's saying yes to the call to write actually brought up a whole bunch of other lies. As you start to get untangled from things, it's like untangling a ball of string. You get rid of some of the knots, and then you find some other knots that are still in the middle of this ball of string. So I discovered a whole bunch of lies that were still just in my heart. So the Lord really started to speak to me about some of these things that I believe. And I think there are so many people who don't believe that what they have on the inside of them is valuable enough to share,
Yeah.
that their story matters, that they have an expression of the Father heart of God. They are born for a reason and a purpose. And the message that they carry are actually quite important and should be shared. So, so yeah, it took me 10 years to say yes to writing Untangled. So I wrote Untangled, and I published it in November 2020.
Well, it was well worth the wait.
Yeah.
I know it has sure impacted my life and the other books since then. So from there, with your experience, you've decided to help other people who have a message. We all have a message.
That's
You have
right.
done a beautiful job of explaining that. So how are you helping other people who have had your experience?
Yeah. Well, I have learned a lot of hard lessons in the process of being an author, a writer, publisher. I wanted to put together a resource to help people really navigate that world, especially people who are completely new to the writing process.
Mm-hmm.
I made probably every mistake in the book. And I wanted to put a resource out there that would help people navigate that journey so that they can avoid the mistakes and avoid the pitfalls. Because I have to be honest, it really discouraged me for a long time. I struggled and I didn't understand. I was answering the call to write. I was being obedient to what God was asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And things weren't going the way I had hoped it would go. So I really wanted to do something that will prepare people's hearts, as well as give them the practical information that they need to avoid the mistakes and to actually take those first steps in boldness and confidence with the message that God's given them to share. So I wrote a book called Answering the Call to Write. And I have recently developed a workbook as well around that, with 95 pages of coaching you from the beginning of saying yes to actually launching your book. Because it's just a passion of mine to really help people unearth that message, help them find clarity, confidence, and help them connect with the people that they were destined to write for.
And also to understand there's so much more required in writing a book and getting it published that we don't realize.
That's right.
One thing I love, she's talking about this book, and she has, if you want to show them, she also has a workbook. And this has not gone on my bookshelf. I keep it lying on my table all the time, and I refer to it all the time because it takes you from the first thought of making sure God really called you all the way through, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think if you have that confidence that you're doing what God has asked you to do, and you're really confident and secure in that, then it doesn't matter how rough the journey gets, because you know that you're doing it because you love Him. I'll share this with you, just this encounter I had with the Lord in the middle of my writing journey. As I was writing Untangled, I even put it in the book because I was literally in the middle of writing the book when I experienced a tough time, and I was stood in church worshiping God, and I had a picture of me as a little girl lying in front of Jesus. I had a toddler's crafting paradise. There was fake gems and cardboard and glitter and glue and crayons, and I was making paper crowns for Jesus. And the look on his face when I handed him each crown was just so awesome. He was so delighted in these crowns. He put them on, he wore them with pride, and I couldn't make them fast enough. I just wanted to make another one and another one and another one. And then I saw Jesus take these crowns and handing them to the Father. And I saw the Father light up these crowns like lanterns and sending them out into the world so that they could be lights for his lost children to call them home.
Wow.
And, I use that picture so often whenever I feel discouraged, whenever I feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities that come with being a writer and an author. I go back to the feet of Jesus and I go and make some paper crowns. I remember that this is why I do what I'm doing, because the joy in it is just in worshiping him, in blessing him, in seeing how much he delights in everything we do. So that's why I do. And I think because I have that why, I know my why, I know why I am doing it. It helps on the days when you kind of lose your way a little bit and you don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
I can remember reading that and you telling that story about the crowns, and it just hit me so much because he shares his glory with us. He will let his glory fall on us. He shares his crowns with us. We are in the heavenlies, because I always look from a pastor's point of view. And also I look at you as breaking down that wall for other people. The enemy will always try to block our getting the message out, whether we are mentoring someone about salvation or writing or whatever it is. The enemy will always try to block that. And you are a wall buster. You help
awesome.
break down those walls. And that just occurred to me a few minutes ago. But to help those that are blocked, because the enemy will block us. He will try.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm going to write that down in my journal.
That's what I saw. It's amazing. So recently, in your quiet time, you had another encounter.
Yes. Yeah. So I just love how, when we say yes to a call, we are obedient. God starts to multiply. He starts to give us more. And again, I was having a bit of a struggle, especially with comparison. Sometimes we can look at people and we can think, wow, look at how much they are doing in the kingdom and it's so easy for them. And why am I out here struggling to get into the flow? And, so I was having a bit of I'm trying to think of the right word, an immature moment. And I sat down with my journal, because I know that when these emotions come up, there's some lie that needs to be addressed. And I don't always know what that is. And I know where to go. So I run to my Father.
That's a revelation in itself, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. So I run to my Father and I take my journal and I ask him, speak to me, help me, because I know it's only his voice. It's only the truth that can untangle you. So I need to hear the truth from the truth himself. So as I sat with my journal, he gave me a poem. And it was a story, a rhyming story about these jungle animals that are meeting, and they are all praising God for how awesome they are. And they are truly awesome. If you look at, the amazing way that God has created each and every wild animal. And then this little boy is part of this conversation, and he starts to feel really insecure about himself, And then Mama Owl arrives on the scene, and she explains that every single one of us are created uniquely. We have got our own strengths, but he has been created to show us God's glory. And that there's no reason to compare yourself, because what makes you special is that God is wild about you. that is what makes us truly special.
Wow.
So it was a poem that really blessed my heart. It's a message that I really needed to hear. So I wrote it down, and then I started to get just this inspiration to put it into a picture book, because I think it was such an important message, and a message that every child needs to know how much they are loved, and that their value is not in what they do, but in who they are created to be, and that they're loved by God. So I put it into a picture book. I was so grateful for your editing skills, Shirley.
Oh.
But
I was very honored to get to read it ahead of time.
the remarkable thing was that that book was written and illustrated and published within a couple of weeks. I've never done anything that fast.
So that's when you know it's God. It was just, and he gave you that book all in one setting, didn't he? I mean, it was just, he just downloaded it.
Yeah.
That's what amazes me. I mean, you went from the thought that he gave you to published book in a little over a week. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind. I thought, yes, that's the way the Lord does it. And this is the book. I immediately, as soon as she put it on Amazon, I immediately ordered a copy for my new great grandson, because I've never read anything like it. That I'm going to tear up. Every time I read it, I tear up. It is just so beautiful. It gets the message across so beautifully that God is wild about us.
Yes.
And I love how he uses you, and how he, how you have those encounters with him, and he downloads. And not only that, she illustrated this book. Those are all her, she illustrated it, published it, everything herself.
Yeah, I just have to say, I did use some apps and things that, have already some pre stuff, because I am not as talented when it comes to illustrations, but I have picked up some skills along the way.
You certainly have. And it is amazing. And those aren't your only 3 works. I know you have some journals, and Meliza has some awesome courses, online courses that you can take. And I know you've offered, with answering the call to write, those who purchase the book, you also have resources and mentoring free for them.
That's right. I'm really, really determined to help people, especially people who are feeling nervous and afraid and unsure. Those are the people I want to help. And I do have a free coaching group. If anybody is interested in joining, just send me a direct message and let me know that you were watching Shirley's at the table, and I will give you free access to the coaching group, which actually has a PDF copy of my book, Answering the Call to Write, which will be yours for free. And it also has a 3-part training course on how to simplify your social media. So I would love to hear from anybody who is on the writing journey and who wants to, who needs that encouragement, and they need the technical know-how.
And that's another thing I love about your heart. You just want to serve, and that's, it's not about money, because believe me, authors, if you're going into it for the money, you might as well just forget it.
That is true.
And I'm a member of that group, guys, and I love it. Meliza is mentoring me, and I am having a wonderful time, and I've learned and grown so much, and she is pushing me to finish my book. I haven't finished my book, but I will.
Yes, and you have a very important message for such a time as this that I am very excited about, and I can't actually wait to see that book in print. I think it's going to be powerful.
Thank you. And Meliza actually designed the cover for my book, and it's on my author page. Many of you have seen it. It's just beautiful. She did a wonderful job. Well, this has been awesome. I have so enjoyed it. You want to tell them how they can get in touch with you or find your resources?
Yeah, I have an author page on Facebook. You're welcome to message me or to join my author page. And you can also send me an email at meliza@melizafarndell.com. And I have a website, melizafarndell.com.
Yes.
So
Easy
anyway,
to remember.
yes, any of those, can't think what the right word is. Any one of those routes are fine. I would love to hear more.
We'll get them there.
Connect. Yeah.
You really need to. I mean, she's amazing, and there's so much help, so many resources there. You just won't believe it until you check it out. But anyway, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us and putting up with my absolute inept ability to use technology.
Hey, we are both learning. I have never streamed live on Facebook through Zoom. So yeah, so we both learned some.
Well, I'm hoping
skills.
It worked. We shall see.
We'll see. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Shirley. I just love you so much. And
I love you too. And we will talk soon.
Very blessed to be here. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.